But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pocket. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interests. Right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
And that's on the air. I don't care.
Bring the commander out. Yeah.
Okay. Get across the street. Across the street.
Call news affairs.
I don't care about news affairs. News affairs.
Well,
let's go across the
we'll
street.
Get the sergeant from news affairs.
I don't care about news affairs. Get news affairs.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you all now you got to go across the street. I'm giving you a law order to get across the street. That's all I'm going to say.
Officer, we're not trying.
Your First Amendment right can be terminated if you create the scene or whatever.
We're not
your
creating
First
a scene.
Amendment right got limitations. If you
What is creating a scene? How are we creating a scene? We haven't created a scene.
Your president created a scene.
Our presence is creating a scene? This is what we do for a living.
What
we do for a living is creating a scene?
The lieutenant said we had to lock them up. I ain't got no problem. I kept out no damn lawsuit. Just cause you suit on me, you gonna win. Get your cuffs out of me. Is it worth going? And you the first.
No, I'm not. The person done anything. Come on. Come on now.
Come on now.
Come on.
What are y'all doing?
He hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything.
Hey, back up.
He hasn't done anything.
What are y'all doing?
What do you like? You like tigers, animals, anything like that? Huh?
Rocco, he's got to check you. He's just going to check you out, okay?
Yeah. Can you sit up for me?
Sit up. Real nice.
You're a good boy. Yeah, I'm gonna take some swab with this cast also, okay? And on the chair.
A what?
So, I'm just gonna swab the
Okay.
chairs and this cast.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Rocco, they got to just check you, okay? It's no big deal. Yeah, we're going to go there and then we're going to eat in a minute. I know. It's kind of weird, but it's no big deal. And then you can put your Crocs on. Yeah, go on. What do you think of this? Weird, huh? It's a little weird. Are you nervous? Don't be nervous. It's okay. He's just checking to make sure that we're okay to get on the plane. That's all. Okay?
Yeah, that's all. Okay. If you can you lift your shirt up? If you don't want to do it here, I can look into a private screening area. Okay. The back side? Okay. Can you put your hand right there? Yeah, just like that. How about this hand? Can I see that hand? Okay. Just give me a second.
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Monday, March 19th, 2012, and I'm Darko. My website is ggnonline.com, and ddarko2012 and ddarko2013 are my YouTube channels. Alright, so this is the American dream that we're living in. And it's kind of rare to stuff like that, but this is a theme. And I'll just start out with this video, and I have lots of news to get to. Interesting articles as far as Big Brother and that go. But yeah, so a lot of journalists are getting arrested right now just for covering stuff, and it's not even like they're doing anything controversial. They just, that's it, you're gone, you know? So this first one I have is from the Student Press Law Center, and it goes in here and it says, cease and desist, student journalists face arrest while covering Occupy. Nearly every story, student journalists remain outside observers, but the Occupy movement signified that slim percentage of coverage where reporters became actors in the story. The images of police pepper spraying students at the University of California became incredible icons in the movement and underscored the power of the news media. The overnight raid of Zuccotti Park in New York City demonstrated equally the struggles journalists on the ground were having with law enforcement access. Next up, 16,000 people sent messages to journalists arrested during Occupy protests. At 12:45 in the morning, police chief demands a reporter makes changes to their story. The police chief has apologized directly to the reporter involved and expressed his sincere regret for his actions on Thursday night. He says here there was no justification for contacting a reporter in this way. Well, how did he do it? Berkeley police chief sent his public information officer to Oakland Tribune's reporter's house in the middle of the night on Friday to push for changes in a story that Meehan thought was inaccurate. It says the AM visit by the sergeant on March 9 and subsequent police demands have left Oakley disturbed and shaken. He says, I haven't slept in 24 hours. He goes on, he says, I would say it was an overzealous attempt to make sure that the accurate information is put out. So, 4 journalists arrested while covering pollution story. That's right, they can declare you insurgents now while covering, or basically protesting against Monsanto and these industrial companies and stuff like that. Call you insurgents, i.e. terrorists, if you're protesting. And that's why a lot of the Occupy movement people were declared insurgents and protests are basically terrorists. They just don't know it yet, but they are in the eyes of the authorities. Then we have Kenya, Nation journalists arrested by police. A photojournalist working with the Nation media group in Nakuru was on Tuesday morning assaulted, harassed, and arrested by police officers on a traffic operation. He was approached by a group of 10 police officers in plain clothes who demanded an explanation as to why he was taking photographs of their operation. A scuffle ensued during which his camera was broken and he was injured on his left arm. Then why is President Obama keeping a journalist in prison in Yemen? It says here on February 2nd, President Obama called Yemeni president. Basically, they discussed the counterterrorism cooperation and battle against Al-Queda. But at the end of the call, Obama expressed concerns over the release of a man named Mr. Shea, whom Obama said he had been sentenced to 5 years in prison for association with 8-cap. So he said that this usually happens with terror suspects, but unlike most, this guy was a journalist that was actually covering Al-Qaeda. Ron Paul only has one full-time reporter. Something I learned tonight, NBC News is the only news organization that is or still has a reporter covering Ron Paul full-time. And then look at this, the next one, that was 2/28/3/14/2012. NBC pulls Ron Paul's last embed, and it goes on, it says, earlier this week, NBC decided that Terrell, a journalist, would transition off the trail and back to his job with MSNBC, though a spokesman there would not comment on the move. Israeli advisor meets PC amid cry over journalist arrested in terror attack case. Hundreds of people congregated at India Gate on Monday in a show of solidarity for freelance journalist Mohammed Ahmed Kazmi, who has been arrested for his alleged links to the terror attack on an Israeli target here. Something that happened over the weekend, RT, Russia Television's main YouTube channel, down for several hours. It says here that the temporary suspension had a quote here by YouTube. This channel has been suspended due to multiple or severe violations of YouTube's policy against spam, scans, and commercially deceptive content. YouTube's response was that it was a mistake. Then we have this. YouTube suspends NufffRespect. This guy is pretty well known on YouTube, and they suspended his channel. And if you go to it, here it is right here. And just a crazy story here. You can go in there and check it out. Links will be posted. This is from Rumor Mill News, so you don't know how credible it is. But it's tied to Benjamin Fulford, who considers himself a journalist, rescued from an island that's owned by the Rothschilds. And apparently he has a body double, either a clone or a body double, when he actually met him. That goes in there and talks to him about him being tortured by reptoids. What you do know is that he did come out recently about basically uncovering this big banking scam as far as these bonds that go all the way back, and back in the day to almost World War II, bonds and gold, and these countries basically are calling for their gold to come back, and they're not getting it. It says here it was Montserrat. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce it right, but it is a UK protectorate and owned by the Rothschilds. Here's another interesting article you should go check out. It says, as Chuck E. Cheese goes, so does America. Another symptom of what is happening to America on a larger scale. The truth is that the fabric of our society is slowly but surely coming apart. And I've actually titled one of my videos recently about that, the fabric of society is being tore apart. And, of course, the mainstream media is just, they don't know what to make of it. They say, oh, it's because they have alcohol and there's these people together and there's all these screaming kids. Well, yeah, there's always been that. Why now, right? Just like the school shootings. Why now, and why is this happening? They'll blame it on the alcohol. They'll blame it on the guns. They'll blame it on all these inanimate objects, except they don't go to the heart of the matter. And that is that we're effed. So Obama's 2012 campaign is watching you. And it goes on and it says that Obama for America has already invested millions of dollars in sophisticated internet messaging, marketing, and fundraising efforts that rely on personal data, sometimes offered voluntarily, like posts on Facebook page, but sometimes not. It's a centralized digital database of information about millions of potential Obama voters. Then we have this up next. People yawning, developing goosebumps, could be terrorists, says Homeland Security. U.S. Department of Homeland Security. A document aimed at raising awareness on how people can combat terrorism, i.e. paying with cash for coffee, has warned that passengers yawning, developing goosebumps, and appearing fidgety could all be potential terrorists. So God help you if you have anxiety disorder or something. Or you're just tired. So you can go in there and check that out. And it goes in and says, a document says the signs will become particularly evident in a person's eyes, face, neck, and body movements. So, if you're being forced to go get your biometric facial scan at the DMV so that you could travel freely, well, not freely, but you could travel, or you're trying to travel in the airport and you don't want, or you're just at Walmart where they got about 500,000 cameras in there, or like most stores, 500,000 cameras looking at you. It's just something you can feel the surveillance on you. It's passive. You know it's there though. And you feel uncomfortable with it, that you could be a terrorist. But if you're a good sleep slave and you don't care about it because you don't know about it, because you don't believe that it exists, well, then you could just go about your merry way and buy your plasticated food. It says here, Holder 1995, we must brainwash people against guns. I tried playing this video. It was a glitch and stuff like that. But either way, I was looking for brainwash quote. I didn't hear that. But for the most part, that's what he was saying. Did he use the media and stuff to brainwash young people? We have ATK secures 40 caliber ammunition contract with Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement with a 5-year contract for ammunition. And I'm just going to come back and continue with this news in the next video, but I'll finish up with it. New Obama executive order seizes U.S. infrastructure and citizens for military preparedness. And a stunning new move on March 16, 2012. Our sellout Mr. Obama signed an executive order stating that the President and Fuhrer has specifically designated secretaries now have the authority to commandeer all domestic U.S. resources, including food and water. And it says here, it also states that the President and his secretaries have the authority to seize all transportation, energy, and infrastructure inside the United States, as well as forcibly draft American citizens into the military. So this is gonna go all across the conspiracy realm and stuff like that. But just my quick take before we go back to it next video is that this was already in place for World War II, and it was already in place for Agenda 21, and that's why some are bailing out of the Agenda 21, because they have this. Thank you.